In order, please. City of Washington Common Council meeting, December 12th, 2022, 6:30 p.m. The first thing, we have a moment of silence for our veterans, please. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Lunsford. Councilman Gray.
Here.
Councilman Graves. Councilman Hampton.
Here.
Councilman Emmons.
Here.
Councilman Dahl.
Here.
Councilman Showalter.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes of the November 28th, 2022 public hearing and the regular meeting in front of you tonight. Anybody have any questions, concerns about the minutes from those two meetings?
That's okay to me, I'd say approve them as written.
Okay, Councilman Grass makes a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Dahl, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And then next, we're going to jump around just for a second. We're gonna go to resolutions first, and then we'll go back to the claims, because there's a couple items on the resolutions that reflects the claims. So we'll start off with reading resolution number 28-2022.
I'll make a motion to read that resolution.
Councilman Campton makes a motion to read the resolution. Councilman Emmons seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tim?
Resolution number 28-2022, transfer that the Common Council contemplating the meeting of certain emergencies does hereby consider and determine to expend and to transfer certain funds from one major classification of the published budget of said City of Washington for 2022 to another major classification, the fund being the General Fund, Police Department, 1101-210, from Section 640, Machinery and Equipment, $8,000, to Section 320, Operating Supplies, the same $8,000. Total transfer is $8,000. This resolution shall be in force and effect from and after its passage, passed in council this 12th day of December.
Okay. Questions?
It's office supply.
Yeah, what was that? Remind me.
It was originally in our ERT equipment. We still plan on buying ERT equipment with it, just not the, it was 640s are non-expendable. I want to move to expendable. It's different equipment I wanted to get with it than we originally planned on getting.
So we had to move to 320 to purchase the same items. Any other questions on that resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Councilman Campton makes a motion to
Second.
approve. Second by Councilman Shorter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution's adopted. Next, we have reading the resolution 29-2022.
I'll make a motion to read that.
Councilman Campton makes a motion to read this resolution.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dahl. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tim?
Resolution number 29-2022, that the Common Council contemplating the meeting of certain emergencies does hereby consider and determine to expend and to transfer certain funds from one major classification of the published budget of said City of Washington for 2022 to another major classification. Excuse me. That fund being the General Fund, Garbage and Trash, 1101-310, from Section 490, Other Services and Charges, $12,000, to Operating Supplies, $12,000. This resolution shall be in force and effect from and after its passage, passed in council this 12th day of December.
And what was that?
Brian, remind me again.
We had a major engine failure on one of the garbage trucks, first out garbage truck.
Yeah. So they just allow him to prepare it in the right,
I'll make the motion to approve.
actually it's paying for the parts that repair, and we're doing the work ourselves, but that's the parts that repair.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Emmons makes a motion to approve the resolution. Councilman Campton seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this resolution's adopted. Okay, and then we'll go back to written presentation of the claims tonight. Anybody have any questions? I think Councilman Emmons has had a couple of questions I answered prior to the meeting. on a couple of claims. Anybody else have any claims? There's a lot of bond payments in this one this time, as you see, as you go through there. I think every bond payment came due, that every bond we had, but, and then, of course, we paid EMB for paving, so that's a big number in there this time, so I didn't know if anybody noticed that, but we were paying them and getting a paving paid on this one. And several other little things that added up to,
36 there,
so I didn't know if anybody else got anything else they see, any questions? Okay, Councilman Inman makes a motion to approve the claims and send them to the Board of Works and Safety for final approval.
Second.
Second by Councilman Campton, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And sustained on Councilman Lunsford. Okay, all right, moving on, we have no ordinances. In other business, we have discussion and award of bid for the Washington Commons project that's came, we opened bids a week ago Thursday. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, comments from the public before we go to that, yeah. I'm trying to hope they push that through. No comments by the public other than what's on the agenda tonight. Anybody have anything for the council? Yes, sir? Yeah,
Thank you for getting that trash picked up.
Yeah.
Hopper's still there, but the yard looks so much better.
well, and the lights, I went by and I still,
They fixed. They're fixed.
I thought, every time I go through there, the ones we talked about wasn't on. But I did see the dumpster there and that stuff, and I think he
It
was,
was picked up the day after the last council meeting.
yeah, I saw the dumpster there, and, yeah, I'm glad it does look
Does anybody,
a lot better.
the house on 16th and McCormick, it's
Okay,
a busy road. You know, 16th's a busy road.
that trailer,
No,
oh,
no, the house on the corner, down from where I used to live.
okay,
That garage has looked
Oh, I was wondering.
the same in the last 10 years. I
one
mean,
right
I tried
behind
to
that
get
residence,
something done when I was on council.
one right behind the residence there,
Yeah.
okay. Actually, it's on
Right there.
16th,
16th,
yeah, okay. I'll
yeah.
have him look at it. Yeah, I'll have Jonathan and then look at that.
I mean, every one of you guys probably drive by it.
And we can,
I've never been past.
You used to own it.
put it on our list because, you know, I mean, and work towards that and send a letter out and this, that, like we do, because we've addressed some other ones in the other parts, and
Be on the west.
I wasn't aware, if I went by there, I just,
So there's a hole in the roof like this.
yeah, okay, all right,
North
yeah,
side of the house.
I'll have,
That's all I have.
okay, all right. I'll
Thank
have-
you.
okay.
Did you say 16th or 18th in the?
16. Okay. All right, very good. Anybody else have anything for the council tonight, other than what's on the agenda? Okay. Hearing nothing else, we'll move on to other business, which discussion and award of bid for the Washington Commons project, which we opened bids a week ago Thursday. And we had two bids that night. We had a bid from Danco Construction Incorporated, which is out of Evansville, for $3,660,600, $3,660,600, and Tabor Owens Construction of $3,154,949. So, Brian, do you want to speak on this at all? I mean,
Sure.
I mean, me and Brian's worked on this Commons project, but I'll let.
Yeah, I just thought I would add, Mayor, I know you saw this, Ron Taylor with Taylor Sheeper Williams Design Group, they reviewed the bids, made sure everything was there and complete. They did find that, to my understanding, Mayor, is that yours as well?
Yeah, I got a letter.
Yes, yeah, I was just gonna pass it around, I do have a copy of a letter,
Thank you.
from Ron certifying that the low bid was complete, and everything's there. so.
Yeah, we worked with them and we turned the bids over to them to look at them and see how they looked and make sure they's intact and stuff. And I did reach out to, Tim to see if he wanted to review them, and he said that wasn't necessary. But, I got this letter late this afternoon saying, that they, basically that was their recommendation too, to accept the bids for Tabor Owens, which was a little bidder.
I know it came under the original estimate, but is all the financing
Are there
in place?
extras? Yes.
That's gonna be my question.
So that's the next item, all right? You guys, yeah, you're on it there. So today, I also have a slide deck for you, just to kind of go through, one, some of the latest renderings and the latest design that was bid out, right? And I guess that's the final design, right? And then, to go through kind of the capital stack, especially because it's changed now, because the bid did come in lower, right? So, we'll pass those out to you all. Beth, there you go, ma'am, there should be enough, so. So yes, the plan is tonight, obviously the mayor and I have talked, quite a bit about the financing and what that looks like. And what we are talking about, we've been working very closely with, Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors, so Jason Simler and his team, and Tom Pittman with Barnes and Thornburg has been helping us out. So we, and this is all at the Economic Development Corporation. Mayor, we coordinated all of this, but I want to say, was at the beginning of, well, in October sometime, right, Mayor, we issued a term sheet out to several of, to all of the banks represented on the Economic Development Corporation board. So that's just about every bank here in Davies County, I think with the exception of just a couple. So they all received that from Baker Tilly. They had an opportunity to respond. I think they had about 30 days to respond. We got about 5 responses back from local and area banks. The most favorable and most competitive terms that were offered were actually from First Savings Bank, based out of Clarksville, Indiana, but they have locations in Odin and in Montgomery. We presented 3 different options. One was a bond through the city. Actually, 2 were bonds through the city. One was bank qualified, the other was non-bank qualified. The third option was essentially using the Economic Development Foundation as a pass-through for the project. So we would take on the debt instrument, and then we would work with the funding partners to coordinate those over a period of time to make the debt service payments. So First Savings Bank presented the most favorable terms with a 2.9% interest rate, which is very good in today's economic climate. We pulled it together, our working group, Baker Tilly, the mayor, Beth was on that call, and Barnes and Thornburg. And we actually wanted to take a look at another option, which was a taxable rate through the Economic Development Foundation, to see if that would allow us to move quicker, which it would. We actually just got that rate back today, and that was 3.9. Is that right, Mayor?
Right.
3.95, I think, which is still it's by far the most competitive compared to all of the other options. So the financing is coming in good. What I will say, if you will flip to page 10 provides the breakdown of funds. The first and foremost, the Knights of Columbus provided at the very beginning of this, provided $300,000 towards the project. So some of that has gone towards design. I would say all of it has gone towards design. We have $184,000 on cash on hand from them as we speak now, right? And then the remainder has been paid for by the Economic Development Foundation. So we secured the property, all 3 parcels, we demoed both the sites, and we have paid for the design up to this point, and will be paying for the design. So you can see that on the following page, the funds spent thus far. Site acquisition, $245,000. Design fees spent, $128,000. Remaining design is $37,000. That remaining design will close us out with Taylor Schicker Williams contract. It also includes geotechnical services that are underway right now as we speak at the site. So those are the funds spent thus far. I will say, one thing I did not add here under the remaining design, I think there's a $20,000 increase to the design fees because of some of the sewer issues we ran into. Is that right, Mayor?
Yeah, through VS
Engineering, yeah.
VS Engineer did the site work, and, yeah, it came in just a little bit higher than
Yeah.
what we expected on their bill.
Yeah, yeah. So that is not reflected here. I will update that and let you know, but really that should be, I guess, around $57,000 in outstanding design costs. So in terms of the breakdown of funds, we have the Knights of Columbus at $300,000. We have $184,000 of cash on hand. The city, we are requesting, and what the mayor and I have talked about quite a bit. Ultimately, this is going to be a city project, right? This is going to be a city park. So $2 million from the city towards this project, a $3.1 million project. That would be $400,000 per year over the course of 5 years. And then the county, we will be making the official request to them tomorrow of $150,000 every year for 5 years, a total of $750,000. And then we have 2 corporate sponsors, which we are not going to announce yet, but we'll be announcing very shortly. Both of which have contributed, or will be contributing, $250,000, and they will get naming rights over some of the items in the park itself. And then we have a Gift 7 grant of about $113,000 that'll be coming to us this next year. That'll be some of the first money in and out for the construction of the buildings out there. And then we have about $52,000 from Our Common Heritage campaign. $62,000. From the Our Common Heritage campaign. We've already started kind of quietly at this point. We haven't publicly announced that yet, but will be in the coming months. So that's a fundraising campaign with our private sector partners throughout the county. That's where those 2 corporate sponsors come from. So that is where we sit with the project. The ask is $2 million over the course of 5 years. It allows the city to cash flow that, spread that out. I know the mayor's done quite a bit of work in taking a look at the city's finances to make sure that would check out. Mayor, I don't know if you have anything to add to that from your perspective.
Well, we talked, and I think we talked to the council before, but that money will be on edit, and it's be on edit fund, like I say, for a 5-year period. That will make those payments. And on the other side, on all this donations, we're not gonna give up on stopping donations by no means. We're gonna reach out to more. But it'll be a smaller probably donation than what we've had on this paper, that, but we'll have the opportunity to reach out to more businesses and even, individuals, I guess, if they wanted to donate, but, and then anything we get over this amount of this, project would go into a maintenance type fund to help maintain the project down the road too. So we're looking at that also.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. That's a model that we're following. Honestly, this entire project has been a model we've been following pretty closely from the city of Huntingburg. I know when we first started talking about this, the mayor and I, we joined then Mayor Denny Spinner down in Huntingburg, now Executive Director of Okra, Denny Spinner. We joined him down in Huntingburg, toured their Market Street Park, talked with him a bit about how they structured their project. Very similar. They ultimately had 3 corporate sponsors. So they have the Far West Commons, the German American Performing Arts Pavilion, and then the Mankey Commons, I believe.
Yes.
Those 3 components all within Market Street Park. We will have 2 at this point. So I think the fact for about if you look at this spread here in terms of the cash flow, about $3.6 million that we're showing at this point. The fact that, it'll be a city project, ultimately a city park, right? And the fact that the city will only have to put in, $2 million towards that, that's leveraging quite a bit in terms of the remaining funds from the private sector and from the county and other grants. This does not reflect the funding that came in from the Regional Opportunities Initiative at the beginning of this process. Though I think the first time I talked with you all was at least over a year, well, longer than that, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. about this project, and that's when we were applying for this grant. That grant came in at $200,000. That helped us in acquiring the property out there. So we've already expended that in and out. So this does not reflect that, but they very much are a part of it to help make this happen. It's helping make this happen. So.
Any questions?
What's the construction schedule?
I think Jeff and Tabor Owens, they're ready to go whenever we are. I think in the bid, they actually say before the end of 2022, but I don't think we'll have the financing, we'll have to.
Finance and notice
Yeah.
to proceed,
And then
we'll,
notice, yes.
we'll have that in the real near future too. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I think this winter, they might be able to do some things depending
Yeah.
on, you know, but basically it's set for spring, most likely the majority of the construction set for spring.
Yeah.
And we're predicting a year
Yeah.
project.
So sometime in the next 6 months or so, we have to address ordinances and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
would think so.
Yeah, 6, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I would say, the project is beginning in January. Obviously, all of that's weather permitting, you know, I mean, what you can do. Then, but then, you know, a year long, as the mayor said, a year long construction timeframe. I know the folks at Tabor Owens are really excited to dig into this. I know we're excited that they're the low bid, with them being a local contractor. Their subs are local. It's gonna be an entirely Davies County, City of Washington project in and out. It's really exciting, so.
What was the second bid?
It was,
How much was it?
I got it here.
3.6
Yeah.
million, right?
it was $3,660,600.
Pretty close to those things. go.
Yeah, it was about 500,000, more than Tabor Owens.
Yeah,
So on that $2 million, does that count all of the city infrastructure that we would do, or?
It pretty much, VS has got everything pretty well in. The only thing is, we might have to do some there might be some labor, that we'll
But it
supply,
would just be labor,
just for electric. And we don't know, I mean, right now it's, you know,
and that 3.1.
like moving some
We
poles
said
that's already
today,
there.
it wouldn't matter 3 years from now, they cannot raise the price on that, or?
yeah, that's a good question. I think I asked that question today in terms of the bid, right? Where does that lock in? I actually, when I was talking with Jason Simler and Tom Pittman this morning, Jason was asking me, hey, how long is that bid good for? And I asked Taylor Schicker Williams, and they said we have some time. Basically, we'll lock in the bid once we issue the notice to proceed, and so on and so forth. So I'll be honest, I would assume, you know, it is what it is, right? That's the bid they submitted. Now, if we waited 6 months to do a notice to proceed, I think that's different. If we stay on track, and David, you may know better than this, and being in this line of work.
Yeah, depends on how they set it up. We usually have
Yeah.
180 days.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that during construction there won't be
Change
unforeseen
orders.
things that will have to change.
But yeah, but I mean, material, you know,
Yeah.
the way things are
Yeah.
raising right now.
Yeah.
you know.
Should be in the bid documents as to
Yeah.
how long.
They took them and reviewed them. I do have a copy of the bid document here, and I didn't print out all the copies for everyone, but I do have a copy of the bid document here.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to send pass it along to you
The
electronically.
original ones are coming back. They had them, they're gonna get them back to us, but they just emailed these to us, a copy of this low bid.
Yeah. I will say, like I said, Ron Taylor with Taylor Schicker Williams, I asked that same question. Hey, how long is this good for? How quickly do we need to? Obviously, we want to assemble the financing and determine the process as soon as possible, but we don't want to lose this number, right?
But as far as the county went also on their financing, they pretty well gave you a verbal
Tomorrow,
yes. so
Yeah, I've
hopefully
talked
tomorrow.
with,
To go with it. They
Yeah, they give a
Yeah.
verbal, yes.
I've talked with quite a few of the folks at the county level. They're supportive. Tomorrow I go to the county commissioners, and then Wednesday to the county council. So yeah.
Can you remind me, like 2 years ago, where we started, what we agreed to, and what the number was then?
Yeah, so I think initially it was $400,000, what was approved.
Like over 2 years?
Well,
I don't
yeah.
even know the time frame.
It was over a couple of years.
Was it over
Yeah.
a couple of years?
I thought it was like-
The project grew significantly. right? I mean, that's when we were only looking at half the site, we hadn't acquired the
Right.
laundromat site. And it turned into, instead of having one building, it turned into three. So yeah, I ran into site conditions, so yeah. The total project, I think at that point, was about, I think 1.3 or something of that nature. Yeah,
Well, yeah, well, we thought 1.6 maybe. We
One point-
talked-
yeah,
We talked
yeah.
1.6 at one time.
Of course, the
Yeah.
performance center was undersized, I think,
It was
originally.
undersized,
Yeah,
we changed
yeah.
it.
That's like double the size of what it was originally gonna be.
yes.
With that
Yeah.
other piece of half a block, we end up adding another structure back there, which is bigger than the structure on Main Street. So, yeah, it went from 1.6 to what we projected 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were a little nervous about 4. the way I described it to folks, I said, you know, I think to get to 4 million, we were gonna have to pull several rabbits out of a hat. And we pulled out a couple, but we were reaching back into the hat and no more rabbits were coming out. So I'm glad it came where it did. And if you see in, I think it's page 11, on page 11, I did just, you know, add, just to help in understanding what the project cost may be. So the base bid from Tabor Owens, that's the base bid, excuse me, plus alternate one. We issued the larger structure south of the Knights of Columbus as an alternate, because when we were assuming the project was gonna be 4 million, we wanted to leave ourselves the flexibility. If that building came in over budget, we wanted to be able to not move forward with that alternate, and the project still works, right, with having the market pavilion on Main Street, and then the performing arts pavilion and the restrooms south of that, right? But, so that's why we issued that alternate as well. So the bid from Tabor Owens, all in, is $3.1 billion. Generalizing a 10% contingency, so that's additional soft costs, that's change orders, you know, things of that nature. That's $315,000. And then, you know, some things to be thinking about, I know the mayor and I have talked a little bit about, is construction management, if that's something that the city feels is necessary, to have basically a third party come in and make sure that they're holding the contractor accountable to building what is on the plans, right? And then the maintenance fund as well. So another item I did fail to put on here is interest expense. So, you know, with the financing that we run through the bank, who's gonna take care of the interest?
What would that, do you have a rough estimate on that?
So I think when we were basing the numbers off of the 2.9% interest rate, it was about $150,000 over, because it's a 5-year term. Yeah, it's a very quick term, the way we're structuring it. I would assume with going a percentage point higher, 215,000, you know, somewhere in that range. But we just got that number today, and we won't get an updated estimate on the all-in interest until Baker Tilly gets back next week. They're out at a seminar this week, so.
Is the architect gonna be involved during construction, approving shop drawings and things of that nature?
So we talked about that. Their contract technically ends at the point that we sign the contract with the contractor themselves, you know, with the notice to proceed. Now, if there are any questions about, you know, the drawings themselves, yes, they'll be there. But I think their next step is they would be looking for a construction management contract potentially. Now, whether the city wants to do that or not is entirely up to you all. But yeah, I think their role really diminishes immensely after the contract's awarded.
So has all the environmental concerns been addressed?
Yeah, we've done a phase 1 and phase 2 for both properties, so they all came back clear. And we did demolition on the Hayes Automotive property. The only thing that came back on the phase 2 was that they didn't find proof as to whether like any underground storage tanks were removed or not. They could have been removed, or they could not have been removed on that site. Both that property, the Hayes Automotive, and then the old laundromat were both filling stations at one point.
Right.
So yeah, but everything else came back clean, the soil borings, everything.
In my opinion, if you aren't gonna have the architect involved, you need to have a third party.
Third party, yeah. I think the next, the next question is just gonna be who is that, right? If it is the architect, great, and I'll leave that entirely up to the city. There was a tentative number put in that I thought was pretty high. I think it was, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the tentative construction management fee like $200,000?
$220, I think it was.
I thought it was a little high, but
Yeah, that's almost as high as their design fee.
yeah, it's more than their design fee. Their design fee was about 156.
I don't know, you need to have somebody here 24/7, but they need to have some say on
Yeah.
whether or not the work's being done right.
Yeah,
That bid acceptance in the document is 60 days unless we, we agree on something in writing.
okay.
From the date that.
From the day it was open,
From the date it was
which
opened.
was,
Bid openings.
yeah, bid openings, which was a week from Thursday, whatever that, I can't see the calendar from what it is.
So that puts it into January anyways.
Yeah, it puts it was in these last Thursday of November.
Oh,
Is that the
Tuesday,
No,
the
first,
first.
yeah,
It
December
was the
first, yes, it was December first, yes. So we got
So
to
that's
February
February.
first.
I had every ounce
Unless
of
it says we get something in writing.
Especially if we follow.
Till
the-
January 30th.
Yes,
Yeah.
60
yes,
days.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, yes, exactly.
Especially if we follow the taxable process through us, which, that's gonna be the mayor's call, your call, my board's call, I don't think the reason for us looking into that is, hey, the savings in terms of time and being able to do this may be worth the additional increase in a taxable rate versus
Tom
non-taxable.
Pittman said, and Baker Tilly, they both was saying, if we went, non-taxable, it really needs to be in the city's name.
Yeah.
If we go non-taxable, because they said going taxable, they'll allow the foundation to put it in their name.
Yeah.
And,
That's still bonds,
yeah, and I told him, I personally wasn't interested in
Yeah.
creating no more bonds with the unknown of the highway project coming up, and we don't know where
you
we're
don't
going.
have time to sell bonds.
No,
Exactly.
no,
It's a lengthy
yeah,
process.
yeah, I'd be a very late, but, so that's why the taxable instead of non-taxable.
And number three, it, does have an impact on the city's debt limit too, right, Beth?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It would, yeah.
So structuring
Yeah,
it
I think
through
they-
the foundation, and I've already talked with my board, the mayor sits on my foundation board, and he was at the meeting where we discussed it last Tuesday. They're in favor as long as we are purely a pass-through. I think my board, we've already put, 150,000 design, secured the ROI funds, I think they're, we were putting our own cash into it, about 150,000, so I think my board is saying, hey, we don't wanna be in anymore from that standpoint. If we know all the other costs and we're purely covered from a pass-through standpoint, 100%, they're on board with it. So, they also did mention, and something we'll need to work through, and I would ask for your approval, just to allow us to work with the mayor, maybe Alan, or whoever, the designee, or designees would be, but that the contract with Tabor Owens be held with the city, and not necessarily with the Economic Development Foundation, just from a liability standpoint. I know that was something that our board brought up as well. So,
But if we did that, yeah, I was gonna say, if we did that, the way it sits right now, the property is EDC's.
it's owned by us, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I talked with Tom this morning, he said it could be done that way, it just has to be recorded in an agreement, right, to where we pay the debt service, but the city holds the contract, right? So,
So that would that would belong to the city or to you?
ultimately to the city, yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the
At the
project.
At the end of the process, we would, or wherever in the process, wherever it makes the most sense, and we'll follow Tim's
But I just
guidance,
figured
Tom's
the
guidance.
payments would have to be paid back before that happens, but maybe not.
We've never really done something like this, that
Yeah.
just makes me cautious on whether or not, we do the contract with them within, but I guess if you're just a pass-through, I guess
Yeah.
it probably makes sense.
Ultimately, those funding partners, the city being the lion's share of that at 2 million, assuming you all approve that, right? Are gonna be the funders of the project, right? We're just providing that conduit to bring the project to fruition, to get it into construction, right? So, it's a way to speed up the process, it's a way to not impact the city's debt limit, really those two things.
Those
right?
two things, yeah, the latter was
Yeah.
more important than anything.
Yeah.
Because with everything we got going on, I just thought, you know, it's,
And when's the time frame that we've gotta decide this?
I think they said 60
No, I mean,
days.
just for the, I'm just having a hard time processing because.
Sure.
And it's not you, I understand, but it's almost like a bait and switch. You know, when I said, yeah, look into this, sounds great, you know, it's $500,000 and it
Yeah.
turned into $2 million.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's, quite a big difference.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, members of the city have been involved throughout the entire process. I mean, Alan sat on that committee, the mayor has all along, Kip Kelly with the Parks Department board. I mean, they can explain,
That's what I
yeah.
said, I'm not saying.
you know, and
Yeah.
because what
I'm
it is.
saying what's
Sure.
being presented to me is.
And being
Yeah.
what it is and where it's at and what it's gonna be is, we thought, you know, the
Sure.
city should be, and I had no problem, the city should be the biggest, donator
Yeah.
in the process.
So
Well,
is
ultimately,
this-
it's gonna be a city project. Yeah.
So is this a future revenue stream too? Like, are people going to rent these out for weddings and?
If we go that route, yes, I mean, you know, some of the things we have now down on Main Street, like, I don't believe we had a fee attached to it, like, Beer Fest, or, you know, or the,
Yeah.
and the farmer's table and things like that. Anything that we used to block the streets,
How does Huntingburg, like, can you rent this for theirs for weddings and?
That is a good
I don't know.
question.
They didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know if they really said anything about that, but I mean, very much you could, right? I mean, I know that's something that's been talked about throughout this entire process is, hey, as you can see in the renderings, it's going to be a beautiful venue. It's gonna be a beautiful facility right downtown. Very much capable of hosting weddings, class reunions, different events.
but we are gonna have someone that manages that, the bookings.
Yeah.
And make sure it's, you know, like, you know, if there is somebody wanting to use it, like, the chamber or something, you know, we'll have go through a person for that.
And wouldn't the KFC be using it on
Yes,
Saturdays?
yes.
Theoretically?
That actually was one of the conditions of, and I think very much fair. They're contributing the
And
most from a
probably not the
private
whole
sector
thing at
standpoint.
times, depending.
Yeah,
I mean, like right now, no.
But I also
Yeah.
think, you know, that request needs to come in, or let someone know what's going on
Sure.
with that request. And go through that one
There's
person.
A lot of weddings.
yeah, it was Saturday.
Pretty much all.
Well, and I think that, you know, the details of that, I agree with the mayor completely, need to be ironed out, but I know their interest in the facility was one, you know, hey, we wanna improve that downtown, but selfishly, you know, we see a benefit to us with what we're doing. So, and understandably so, I mean, they are the
But when
first
this
in.
project started, and another thing I like to see, and we haven't talked about this a lot, it says Davis County Commons, but I really think it should say Washington Commons, because we're the biggest stakeholder. I don't know how much,
Up to the council when you talk.
Yeah, I
Well,
was about to
you
say,
know,
yeah,
I mean, that's just me.
yeah,
Oh, I agree 100%.
sure.
I'm just saying, you might wanna.
But we never really got into that. Before, it was a smaller project originally, and there, you know, everything was, let's say, more even.
Like Mayor Roads Commons,
No,
like
no,
Bomber
no,
Lake?
no.
Well,
I'm guessing.
as part of that, 10% contingency is a bronze statue of Mayor Rhodes.
No.
Right.
So that's,
Dude,
we did
my
talk
name,
about that.
my name.
They
will
really
be-
talk.
That'll be change order number 1, yeah.
But I think this is gonna be a great asset to the downtown, and, you know, when I took office, the downtown area was talked about, and then we started this process about 16 months ago, and,
So are you putting this on the Parks Department?
well, the parks, hopefully, there's not gonna, I mean, we don't know, the maintenance, the upkeep is gonna be a park and recreation, yes,
Just
got a
keep in
question.
mind that every time that happens, we also know what happens.
I know, yeah.
I've got a question, we've touched on, who's gonna pay the $200,000 for the management fee, or the construction?
Well, it's,
Well, right.
Where's that $200,000 coming from?
Yeah.
it's in the,
That's in the proposal that's not on top of the 2 million we're asking for.
it was in the
Because it said
original
that was if
proposal.
we were gonna do it,
Well, no, I would say the 2 million is just for construction, and you're not approving today a construction management
No.
fee.
that-
Yeah.
so
But
that
it-
fee
so-
could come in later.
Yeah, that would be up to the
It was in the
city.
$4
Yeah.
million estimate at one time.
No, I'm just asking for the money we're saying right now.
Yeah.
So there is 200,000 in the pipe coming to us possibly.
I don't think, as David mentioned, I think that's high. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's another fee, whether it be 80,000.
yeah, whatever.
And then when they find them tanks, when they start digging.
No, what?
Then when they find those tanks.
No, no.
Change order.
Yeah, I mean, I would leave that up to the city. I mean.
Okay,
again,
well, no, I'm
that's-
just
yeah,
asking because we've touched it, but we haven't touched it.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
If we decided not to go that route, there'd be, you know, cause it was in the original four, it'd be off of the
Oh, I was just,
price,
you know what I mean?
if we decide not to go that route. But someone's gotta manage it, you know,
I would recommend you talk to the architect about
yes.
reviewing contract documents and occasional visits as needed, but
Sure.
not full-time inspection.
Yeah.
Project like this, you don't need full-time
Yeah,
inspection,
just do periodic check,
Yeah.
inspections.
and then it shouldn't be 200,000.
Yeah, I was a bit taken aback by that fee, but we haven't really asked those questions. We've been focused on the financing and,
That sounds
Lining
like
up
you
the funding.
plan on having somebody here full-time.
yeah. I would say in terms of timing, I mean, the bank is going to want to see, First Savings Bank is going to want to see, you know, minutes from a meeting where the funding commitments have been approved, right? So, I mean, I would say time is of the essence with the 60 days, if you want to lock that in.
Especially, we don't have another council meeting for 30
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. So this was the first meeting after the bids were open.
Yes,
A
yes.
couple weeks
I
ago.
think, like, in the future, in situations like this, it would be a great idea. I know we had eyes on it, I know we talked about splash pads and this and that from time to time, like, maybe just a recap of where we're at every 4 months, 6 months, whatever, like. I mean, I knew because I asked, but if you didn't ask, then you had no clue that this was gonna go forward. So, just maybe a little update from time to time.
Sure.
We have a question from the audience. What are you gonna do with Jim Myers' statue?
Oh, it's gonna be incorporated there, yeah, most certainly.
Didn't see it in the picture.
Yeah, yeah, it's not, we didn't wanna pay the design fee to have them restate that, but, no, Jay's not going anywhere, he'll be right there. And honestly, that's something, so our community foundation, you'll see their logos on the cover page, they've been super helpful with us securing those private sector, you know, commitments. And I will say, securing $550,000 already without launching any public campaign from the private sector is completely unheard of. I mean, this is a public function to provide parks and recreation and, you know, urban renewal, you know, of this scale. So the fact that our local businesses are stepping up in such a big way, I think is astounding. Our community foundation has been super helpful, and that's something Mary Smith, you know, asked. Obviously, Jay was instrumental in starting the original community foundation here in Davies County, and we talked how fitting this would be, that this is really where his statue will be located, because it's, what this project is doing is it is setting the tone for a whole new Washington. Right, I mean, with the announcement here a few weeks ago, 550 new high-wage jobs coming to the region, we have to give those folks an excuse to live here in Washington. I mean, that's just the short and simple truth of it. I heard this the other day, which I thought was, I've never heard it put this way before, but someone said that Westgate is the second best thing to happen to Bloomington besides Indiana University, which I think is a really funny but very telling and true statement about the many high-wage jobs that are going there and the preferences of those folks and where they want to live, right? And with the housing that is coming online in Washington, with projects like this, Washington can become a community that can attract those types of individuals. But without projects like this, without visions like this, the community is not going to be competitive in attracting and retaining that type of talent, just to put it frankly, right? So, this is a major investment in the community, and it's what's needed to attract folks, not only for those jobs, right, that's recent news, but the many folks that, many businesses here that are currently hiring, right, and the less than 3% unemployment rate we have, talent attraction and retention has to be at the top of our minds, and I feel this is a major first step, so, or second step, if you add in the housing, so. So any other questions? I would say we do have the next steps listed there. Ken, I agree with you, we do need to figure out the construction management side of things, but I think that requires a conversation, like Dave said, with the architect and
possibly with another third party if there is one, you know, that would check in from time to time. But like I said, I've talked with the mayor quite a bit about that. That's really gonna be more on the city's end in terms of managing the project, as opposed to ours, but we'll obviously work through the entire process with you, so. Any questions? Thoughts, comments? No?
The next thing you need from us is some approval of the finance.
Yes, yes. So I would say, I mean, ideally, the goal was, ideally, we have votes from the city council, just generally agreeing to the concept tonight, and then the county commissioners and county council the next couple of days, so that we can take those minutes to the bank and show them, hey, these commitments have been made. The next step would be to actually finalize an agreement. Once we have an amortization schedule, we work out some of the terms with the banks, because then we would line up the payments from the city, the county, and our funding partners to mirror those payments, just like we have with, so the city currently works with us on the GFI sewer project on the east side of town that was done, I think, in 2015, 2016.
Somewhere around there.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So that's the Economic Development Foundation served as a pass-through. The city makes payments to us at the end of January. We make a payment to GFI at the end of February. So it's a month apart. Money comes into the Economic Development Foundation, then the money goes out to GFI sewer. We would be looking at a similar
But I
process
do
here.
suggest that, just like the residential agreements that we had, that this agreement says the city makes one payment a year. You know, it says in there that.
Yeah, no more. than
Yeah,
one
no more
payment.
than one payment a year. And it is edit money, but I have, in the edit money, I have came to the council and get your opinion and your approval on edit money, but it is on the edit fund in the mayor's budget. But, you know, but I always wanna be transparent with the council and then let know what, once you guys know what we're spending.
So we need a verbal commitment tonight,
Probably need to do a vote on it.
That would be great. That way we can take that to the bank.
I mean, I know that the numbers are a little higher, but this is a lot bigger scale than we started
Oh my
with.
God.
And
Yeah.
we did cut a lot of the fluff out, the splash pad and some of that stuff. So I think that with the number coming in less than we originally thought, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And,
Which helps the project.
yeah, Jeff Owens is, I mean, he's gonna work as hard as he can. He made a comment about how he can probably do things to even possibly cut this even more. I mean, and not cut the quality of the project.
I mean, I feel like if we have,
There is some unknowns with some of the supply and demands that, too, but.
I feel like if we have private investment of over 500,000 and the Knights of Columbus with their donation, that shows that there's a lot of people that are definitely behind this project, so I think the city would.
I think there'll be more people come forward. I think
Yeah.
we'll see some more people come forward.
Yeah.
Once this is, we really not put it out to public at all, but it's all been, just certain
Conversations.
certain ones we've contacted.
Yeah, and I will say, so obviously, if you're in economic development, sometimes you do things that the public really likes, sometimes you do things that the public doesn't like, right? It just depends, right? That comes with the nature of the business. I will say with this project, anytime it's been covered by the newspaper, covered by the radio, whatever it might be, I know when the bids came in a couple weeks ago, it was amazing just to watch on social media, which I don't watch social media, by the way. If you look at that, sometimes it's definitely not worth it. But that was one of those moments when seeing all of the folks that were excited about that project, how many said, hey, this is the most exciting project we have going on in the community at this point, all of that. This is one that I have heard very few, if any, negative comments about this project, right? And there's a lot of excitement about this happening downtown.
So we use the edit fund, we're not raising new taxes to
No.
cover this, so it's not like a new.
No, it's in the budget.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
in the
just wanna
mayor's
make sure that
edit
we
budget.
point that out, that we're not creating a new tax to
Yeah.
pay for.
No.
And I also feel like this, and I already know something's I mean, I'm not gonna be the one to say it, but I mean, I know there's something down the pipe that's gonna allow other investments near that area that are gonna be pretty, exciting, I think, for downtown.
Yeah,
Well, we started out rebuilding Main Street. I mean, 50 years ago, we talked about rebuilding Main Street. You know, and so
Yeah,
now we are starting to do.
and we got a lot of work to do, I mean, as far as trying to bring other type businesses downtown, but, I think this will hopefully be a draw.
I think
It's gonna spur some, probably quickly if we.
yeah,
start to do
it's funny you mention that, Alan, because I've actually already gotten several calls. Even since the bids were announced, it came in and said, hey, I saw that the bids came in lower than, we're actually looking at some of these buildings, right? And that's exactly what we had talked about, is this being a catalyst for private investment. So it's exciting to see all of that. And actually, as soon as I got that call, I called the mayor and just said, hey, listen, it's already doing what we're talking about it doing, which is exciting.
So, yeah,
So how do we word this, so we give the mayor his blessing to do what?
With the edit fund, that we're allowing the mayor to use his funds and discretion.
pretty much.
I think the bank will want to see a vote.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why.
and that's why
Make a
we
vote
came,
that
that's
we're
why we're
allowing
doing
him
this
to make-
tonight.
So to make the,
Let the mayor make the appropriations.
how to word so I mean, I would move, we move forward with the commitment of the $2,400,000, one payment per year.
Yeah,
Out of
5
edit
years.
funds, 5 years. Some discretion from the mayor on those.
And
I
thank
second
you
that.
for you letting us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I always wanna be very transparent with you guys, and I believe in that, and, let you know exactly what's going on in the funding. I mean, don't wanna do this and say, well, it came out of the edit fund, because the edit fund really is the mayor's discretion.
You get the wording on that.
But,
Here's what I have.
okay,
Move forward with the commitment of $400,000 per year for 5 years from the edit fund.
One payment.
One payment per year, okay. Is that correct?
Does
Does that work for you?
Yes, I will, just as a point of order, do we have to accept the bid first?
Yes.
Or, okay, so,
I would think we
and-
Well, we did when we talked about 400,000, I think we can dedicate the money and
true. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
and then,
And then
What
accept the
happens
bid.
if the county says no to theirs, in theory, right now?
Well, this vote should, number one, be on a contingency.
I agree.
I just wanna throw
Yes,
that
yeah.
part out
That
now.
wasn't written, but it should be.
Contingent
yeah, and
upon
we have that,
County, or county approving
Well,
as
not
well.
just county,
Or
but
the-
all.
Yeah.
I just had a
All
little
these-
last minute thought there.
Yeah.
all the rest of them are in play. Well, the county's the next biggest, piece of the
I mean,
pie.
I can add to that, just add to the contingency that all the financing is in place for the
Yep.
project.
Yeah, okay, Councilman Brown makes that motion to,
Seconded, or Randy, or
and,
whatever.
Councilman Emmons seconds, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
You want to welcome? Okay. Councilman Lunsford,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Grass,
Aye.
Councilman Campton,
Nay.
Councilman Emmons,
Aye.
Councilman Dahl,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Okay,
6-1.
okay, very good.
Now that the funding's in place, I move we award the bid,
Okay,
subject to financing.
yeah, Councilman Dahl makes a motion to award the bid, depending on financing, and Councilman Brown seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Perfect.
okay,
All right.
very good, thank you.
Thank you all. We're
Thank
very excited about this. This is a huge thing for Washington and Davies County. We will, Darren, do our best to keep you updated on that, whether it's me, whether it's the mayor, whether it's whoever else, Kip, whoever it might be.
Well, I think there's been a
we'll
lot of
do that.
discussion, they might
Yeah.
not have came
Yeah.
officially in this, council.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it a lot, we've had you here more than once, and it's, it kind of moved quite quickly, after about 15 months, it moved quicker
It
this,
moved slow and then very
Yeah.
quick.
this
Very
past
slow and
30
very
days has went really
Yeah.
quick, but,
Yeah.
it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, it did, it did. So, thank you all. We'll keep you updated on the remaining commitments and where things go. I will say, I will likely be back in January, to finalize the agreements, because I would assume now that we have
your vote in the minutes, we can take that to the bank, they know that
And we'll get that
it has been
tomorrow.
made, then we'll finalize the agreements in terms of how the payments exactly are to be made, whether it's 2 installments per year, in terms of 200,000 and 200,000, right, not more than
Right.
400,000 per year. But whatever that might be,
Yeah.
we'll work that out.
And we'll try to get the same thing, and I'm sure the county will do the same thing tomorrow, which he needs that to go to the financing for the bank too.
Need to have all that so we can consider a notice to proceed at our last meeting in February.
Okay.
January
In
meeting.
January, I agree, yeah,
Yeah.
that is the goal.
Yeah, because we,
Yeah.
just to be safe on what it says in the document.
Tom Pittman, like I said, I talked with him this morning, we're gonna be circling back our working group, so Beth, I'd like, if you're available next Monday, obviously the mayor, for us to get together with, Jason Simler and Tom. Tom Pittman's already aware that he's gonna be drafting some of the agreements, working with us, so. Tim, obviously.
And that's,
I'm
that's
sure
another
you
thing,
know.
I think, I don't know if you mentioned, EDC paid, those fees for Tom, and that, as
Yeah.
we went along, so that's another thing EDC did.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you all very
right,
much,
thank you.
thank you.
Great.
I have one more question before you leave.
Yeah.
It came to me the other day about, you were talking about the east side sewer
Yeah.
deal that was back in 15, 16.
Mhm.
So, the person that came to me said that you're like a year or 2 years out when you start to decide you want to move forward with something like that because of everything you gotta wait for from like environmental and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
So
from the east side
where-
sewer plant.
I mean, is there any talks of that or? is it
Well, that
like-
thing he talked about was for the lift station that we
Yeah.
we put in out there at Graham's. Graham paid for the lift station, and then we paid the Graham family back, on that lift station. But then on the east side wastewater facility, we're working with the Graham family, trying to purchase some ground out there for the east side wastewater facility. And Midwestern Engineers is helping us with that. And, we're actually going out to the site and look at it. They're trying to figure out and get some, evaluations done so they can get back with the Graham family. No purchase of agreement, for the land or nothing's been done yet. But we have been in a conversation with Michael Graham, and, we're moving forward, but it's still preliminary.
And then it's still, like, David, you probably know, like, is there like a year later for these permits to be written and then you can break ground year two?
Oh, you're looking.
12 to 16.
Yeah, 2-3 years to be finalized on a project like that.
Yeah, Richard said 12 to 16 months maybe on permitting. And we won't do anything unless the permitting goes through at that time. It'll be all contingent of the permits. If they don't go through, then, yeah, we of course, we won't purchase the ground until after all that's done.
And then with all the new, like, where do we think we're gonna be sitting once all these homes and apartments are functional? Like, what percentage of what we currently have do you think?
Of wastewater?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know how much they'll add to our capacity. But they'll add to some, yes.
Some, but they won't, as far as the plant, they won't put us out of range.
No. Of course, it'll probably, we'll probably 80%, 82%, somewhere around there. We're getting where we definitely need to take action, and we are, and we'll if this all goes through and stuff, there'll be some rerouting of stuff to take the load off the current, plant, so. We've came a long way in the last few months with this project, talking to them.
Yeah, the mayor of Midwestern have really been on it. I know, just like you said, Mayor, the past few months, things have really picked up with that.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out, and we'll keep you informed. Right now, Richard's doing some evaluation, then we'll get back with the Graham family, but, it's gonna take, this could be a long process too.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you're exactly right. It's, the permitting, I think, is.
Permitting will be very
The
lengthy,
lengthy process, yeah.
the way I understand it. Okay? All right, anything else? Anybody in the audience got anything else for the board, common council? Okay, the only thing I got, this is our last meeting. Our next meeting will be for bills only on the 27th for the Board of Works, and 9 o'clock at the council chambers here, to approve those claims?
So that is just for divorce then?
Yes, yes.
You're welcome to come.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
But the only thing I got, wishing everybody Merry Christmas, is this is our last meeting before the Christmas holiday. So, for you and your families.
We need to stay for a class.
Yeah, and once we get the board worked real quick, we just got a few things, and then we got this, training that, should not take too long with, MS4. Okay, all right? Councilman Rich, you got anything?
I think it's been a good year for the city of Washington.
It has been, yeah, we have got a little bit done this year. Yeah. Okay, Councilman Dahl,
I have nothing.
Councilman Shore, Councilman Brown, Tim,
I have nothing.
Councilman Kendall, Councilman Emmons, Councilman Lunsford. Beth? Okay, all right. Hearing nothing else, this meeting's adjourned. Board of Works.
We already got it out.
Right.
Meeting to order, City of Washington Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, December 12, 2022. First thing we have is approval of minutes of the November 28, 2022 regular meeting.
I'll move,
Go ahead.
I'll move we approve the minute.
Councilwoman Ash makes a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Councilman Dahl seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Discussion approval of claims submitted tonight for approval.
I move we pay the claims.
Okay, Councilman Dahl makes a motion to approve the claims as written, and Councilwoman Ash seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Next, we have discussion approval of request from Real Recovery for a handicap spot at their meeting site, which is in the west side of Central Christian Church on the corner of West Van Treese and it'd be northwest First Street, excuse me.
On their side of the road.
On their side of the road, and it is no parking on the other side of the road, which I'm kinda concerned in a way, but there's always been parking on the east side of the road. And, I had, Brian look at it, and I've looked at it today. The road is not quite as wide as a lot of our streets are, that's a little bit of concern, but, they're only requesting one spot, I believe, right in front of their door that goes into the side of the church. So what do you think, Brian? I had you look at it, and
It's possible.
I
It's
mean-
really the only place to do it, cause it's the only place where
The
the
ramp.
sidewalk has an ADA well, and it's not actually to spec ADA well, but it's better than what a lot of the other ones are.
I don't think we have anybody here from the church tonight, but they did request this. I don't see, there's always been parking on that side of the road, so granting one handicap spot, I don't see a real big, problem with that, but.
The dentist's office has plenty of parking too over on the other
Yeah,
west side.
they got on the west side and a little bit in the back for the employees, yeah.
I'll move we approve it.
Okay,
I'll second
Councilman
that.
Ash makes a motion to approve this, request, and Councilman Dahl seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, discussion and approval of, Washington Transit System preventive maintenance plans and procedures. Brian, you got anything on this you wanna talk about?
So this is just our normal, preventative maintenance plan that we have to upload to NDOT to show that we're compliant, so it's basically
Yeah,
just-
it's just,
it requires board approval.
yeah.
I move we approve it.
I'll second.
Councilman Dahl makes a motion to approve this, plan and procedures from the NDOT, and Councilman Ash seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do have something for you to sign on that before you leave tonight, but they're on this, there is a page here for us to sign, and then Beth will attest it.
Is that what this is?
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, that's a copy. Gotcha. Very good. Okay, all right, and then we got one more thing. We got, discussion on approval of contract for the 120 water for assistance with lead control in water. This came up recently. You and Jimmy, you wanna talk about this we was both in a meeting.
Well, Richard Burke, he, met with them on two other municipalities, and they're using them, and it's to help basically locate where our high areas of lead lines can be in the city. We've already located some, and we still come across some, but they've got a new way, I guess, to help determining what part of town or where would be the hot spots to look for it, and it's being mandated by the EPA to stay in, good graces with them, I guess. So it's in, what was it, like 20,000 or something?
It's a $20,000 agreement for 2 years. Well, yes, for 20,000 for the first year and 18 for the second year. When they do all this, get all this information together, they will help us, apply it for the grant that's through the state, which will help pay for a lot of this lead removal. But without this documentation and all this work here, you can't apply for the grant through the state without,
This all flows down from the problems I had up in Flint.
Yep.
Where they didn't follow the rules we have now.
Yeah.
It's all counted.
and I know Jasper, Vincennes is using this outfit. They're in, and with talks with a lot of other communities around. Huntingburg, I think it might be, in that, and a lot of them up north too. So, you know, I bring that to this board for approval on this contract, because, I mean, the fees should be standard what is written. It'd be, 20,000 for the first year and 18 for the second year. But I think, what he talked, some of the, we're hoping, what we get in return from the grant will be, well worth it. And we've done a lot of work already. Jimmy's got a lot of documentation now that we've removed a lot of lead, and they'll use that information he's got to help with the process.
And just to make sure everyone understands, we don't have people dropping over dead with lead.
Right.
It's a concern, if the
All of
water.
whenever we do our lead and copper test, they're always way under the guidelines, so
Yes.
we're in
As
good
long
shape.
as long as the water stays fairly non-corrosive, you're in pretty good shape. But it's something you have to do. And some of the regs are still being written, aren't they?
Do what?
Some of the new regs are still being
Yes,
written.
nothing's set in stone one
No,
hundred
yeah,
percent,
they-
it changes from day to day.
It's not one of those things that IDEM has that have to do.
Right, yeah.
So I move we approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Dahl makes a motion to approve this contract with 120 Water. Councilwoman Nash seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then again, last is the wastewater contracts that we briefly talked about with Raver Septic and Questliner. I'll get you some more information to you, and then we'll look forward for the January meeting for a contract for 2023. So I'll get some more information and get it out to you. I just want to bring it up to you tonight and say, you know, this is something we need to look at.
It's a good opportunity to look at our surcharges in general.
Yeah.
The GPA wanted us to look at it anyway.
Yeah, and they talked to us, so, you know, it's, we'll get to, and we'll talk about what we wanna do, as far as adjusting the fees if we see fit, but I'll get you some more information to you, okay? And that's all that's on the agenda tonight. Anybody in the audience got anything for the Board of Works? Okay, hearing none, Nita, you got anything else? David?
I have not.
Tim?
Nope.
Beth?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.